What if our stories weren't just about the past, where we've come from and where we are now? But what if our stories contained the clues and insights that would help us understand who we're becoming and where we might go next? This is Lead with Story, a podcast from Forerunner Story Co., where we explore how our stories not only provide insights to who we are and where we are, but where we're going and who we might become. I'm your host, Mike Tiesinga, and this is Lead with Story. Today, I am joined by Lindsey Sorensen, the founder, lead designer.
Yes.
What's your
All
title?
The things.
All the things. Owner, yeah.
We're going with owner.
Lead dreamer, whatever that might be, at Daisy Acres Design. And without me taking some sort of guess of describing what you do, would you please, introduce yourself a little bit more and share what exactly Daisy Acres Design is?
Sure. So Daisy Acres Design is the culmination of really kind of a lifelong interest in kind of beautifying spaces. So it's an interior design firm. It's just me for now. We'll see where that goes. But it's a company that I want to represent accessible design, design that incorporates storytelling, design that fits for the individual's life and their background and their interests. I really want to create spaces that reflect each person as their unique self.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
That's really neat. Where did this, you mentioned kind of a lifelong culmination. Where did the first iteration of this idea begin? Like what did that look like? Was that like as a kid you were like making spaces, or what can you remember?
Yeah, so I was fortunate to have parents who kind of let me do my own thing for my bedroom. So, just moving furniture, choosing paint colors. I remember my dad allowed both my sister and I to paint all 4 of our walls different colors. And we got to hand draw the squiggly lines so they didn't end in the corner. We had my dad and my uncle edging in all those little nooks and crannies of our squiggles on the wall. So yeah, I think it started way back when.
Yeah, and just to have the adults or supervision in your life empowering that creativity, like, oh, I guess I just have the freedom to do this. That's gotta be pretty neat as a kid to have that support of your dreams at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of our parents were, and our step parents were, encouraging of our personal interests. And, just my dad especially is a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
There was never anything we told him we wanted to do that he wasn't a total cheerleader for. And then my mom too, just kind of leaning into your authentic self, even as a little one.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. My wife's dad, it sounds a lot like my father-in-law.
Yeah.
They had like these mantras that were like, everything's figure-outable. Like, we're just like, oh yeah, I have no idea how to do it, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It seems like that was kind of the home you kind of grew up in. Did you guys have any like mantras, or are there any stories that would just highlight the level at which your dad would support your dreams?
Actually, I was thinking of a story of my mom first.
Yeah.
I was in high school and we were garage sailing, one of my favorite pastimes, treasure hunting. And I found this absolutely fantastic, 1970s, like avocado green floral print sofa, if you can kind of picture that.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have a vehicle that would fit it. And I don't really know if I should say this, but my mom was like, that's okay. And we drove to a dealership and we borrowed a used truck and we went and loaded up.
Took it for a test drive, and
yeah,
I think it's
a test drive.
That's very inventive. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we got the couch home. That's what matters.
That is awesome. Does that couch still exist in the family somewhere?
No, it's long gone. Yeah, I think after I went to college, my mom was like, "We're getting your stuff out of here."
Yeah. Well, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Just saying, all right, there's a way to solve this problem.
Exactly.
Think a little out of the box, but
yeah.
Hey,
maybe not totally on the up and up. But
I'm sure if we talked to like car dealer owners about the things that they've realized people have done while test driving cars,
I
think you'd probably be all right.
It was probably pretty low. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a brand new like Ford F-150 thing.
Yeah. Let's really test this one out.
Right.
So the you were doing that within your family and in your spare time and free time. Did your academic and educational pursuits follow in line with that too?
No, not at all.
So tell me some of that journey. Like, where did that go? Like high school, college, or whatever additional education you had. Like, what's that journey been like?
Yeah, so I've actually been reflecting on that quite a bit. My sister is incredibly talented. She's very artistic. Took art classes at Kendall College of Art and Design in Grand Rapids, like going way back as a kid. And I was more into kind of music and theater and that kind of thing. And so Kelly, my sister, she followed that path right straight through school. She actually has an interior design degree from Kendall. And so Kelly was kind of the creative, artistic child, and I was more kind of identified more and was sort of known more as more of like academic, kind of straight and narrow path toward a career that is a little bit more like stereotypical, I would say. And so I really didn't ever think of myself as a creative. It's really only in the last couple of years that I've even thought that was something I could be.
Yeah.
As I've sort of, deepened my understanding about what that means and what creativity can look like by individuals. So no, I actually have a master's degree in organizational leadership and learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that primarily where your career has been? Like what was that journey? What did you go to undergrad for? How long between then and the master's? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I went to Grand Valley State in Traverse City after finishing up at Northwestern Michigan College up there. So I stayed in Traverse City for 5 years. I took a gap year before that was a thing, before the Obama sisters.
Yeah.
And my bachelor's degree is in liberal arts. And really what that means is that I got a very kind of broad education. I think some people hear that word liberal and they make assumptions about what a liberal arts degree is. But it really just means that you get to take just a huge variety of classes and kind of shape what your curriculum looks like versus, nursing courses or whatever it might be. And then I got into school improvement consulting and grant writing.
Okay.
So it's kind of like my first act, I guess you could say. And through that, I did a lot of traveling across the country, working with different schools. And then I moved to DC when I was 30, and I switched from school improvement consulting to management consulting, and specifically for the federal government.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of decided on a master's program at that point. I had thought about going back to school, but really I didn't want an MBA. I knew that I would just kind of suffer in that environment. So yeah, I ended up at George Washington University there. And that program, I think I started when I was 34.
Okay.
Or maybe 33. So later,
Yeah.
which was good. I think you bring a different set of experiences to go to grad school later versus when you're 22.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you had some work experience. You've got to test your worldview in the wild, so to speak.
Exactly.
And formed by real life experiences, not just book knowledge.
Exactly.
And that's really fascinating.
Huge difference.
So that was where it was organizational leadership was your master's.
Yep. And adult learning.
Okay.
And so that was my career.
Yeah. And then so where did that take you? Because you're not in DC anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm back in the Midwest.
Between then and now.
So my sister and her husband were pregnant with my niece. It was going to be my first niece or nephew. And so it was time to get back to the Midwest. And I originally planned to move to Chicago because I'd always wanted to live in Chicago. I even looked at schools there when I was looking at colleges, and it just never happened. And so I thought, well, maybe like this time that'll be a great spot, right? And there's so many opportunities there for management consultants and just kind of that career path I wanted to head down. But then I met a boy.
Oh.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I met a boy, and that boy lived in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And now he's my husband.
Yeah.
So now I'm in Indy, which is almost as close as Chicago to West Michigan. So.
Yeah, it's from where we're at now, what, about 3 hours to
It's
here?
about 3.5.
3.5,
Yeah.
yeah.
So not
There's
bad.
nice flat country roads through
Super flat.
cornfields.
Yes.
Yeah.
All corn.
Well, thank you for sharing just some of the highlights of that journey. But now we come to the Daisy Acres design.
Yeah.
And you shared about, and I relate with some of the creativity piece where in my hobbies as a kid, I was doing creative things, but I never connected that to, oh, I could do this for work or
Right.
like unpack it. And even my journey of understanding that every person is truly creative. It's just how do you contextualize that and then unleash it?
Mm-hmm.
When did you begin to discover that, or what did it look like when it was stirring inside of you that this is a path you wanted to go down?
Yeah, I love that question. So, one of the consulting firms where I worked offered, as part of kind of their like benefits package, one-on-one time with an integrated health coach. Yeah, it's a total gift. Her name is Stephanie.
Yeah.
And so I took advantage of that opportunity, and it was interesting because we started the conversation with me saying that I sort of wanted to be coached through returning to a regular yoga routine and what that might look like, and kind of incorporating other healthful activities, quote unquote, like back into my life after COVID. So when COVID shut down, I stopped going to yoga because everybody stopped going to yoga. And I really wanted to like get back into a practice. And it was interesting because that is not at all the direction we ended up going. As she kind of probed and we delved into kind of what was going on, it became apparent to me that that maybe that phase was broken because something else needed to grow. And so anyway, that manifested in a bunch of different ways. But one of the things that came out of that was kind of finding alignment with my true north, coming out of like a lot of change, right? So a new city, a new job, a new environment. I lost my stepmom at that time. I also lost my cat.
It's a lot of loss,
It was
a
a
lot of
lot.
transition. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the pandemic, right? And so I really like needed to kind of integrate and refocus, and she helped me do that. And that's when my husband and I bought property up in Michigan, because I just knew I needed a home base here. Indianapolis is a cool city, but it's not mine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we bought land and we built just a tiny cottage, and I named it Daisy Acres. So that's really like the origin story.
So was it through that process of, I guess for lack of a better phrase, making a home for yourself, making your place, did that just continue to awaken the dream, the desire of, oh, this maybe this is more than just making a home for myself?
Yeah. So I think you've probably heard most people who go through the process of building a house, they find that to be incredibly stressful and overwhelming.
Sure.
And rightly so. It's a lot. And it's a lot of money at stake. And, contractors are contractors, and everybody kind of is on their own timeline. I had an awesome builder located here locally. His name is Tim Westorp. And
shout out Tim.
Thanks, I know. Tim. Thanks, Tim. And Tim's wife, Katie. And they were just excellent to work with. But beyond that, I actually really enjoyed the process. So like start to finish, it was a blast for me, right? And I'm working full time and I've got like my life done in Indy, but I just kind of thrived in that situation, which is unusual. And when it ended, I talked to Stephanie and I was like, I want to do this again.
Yeah.
Like I want to do this over and over and over. And I didn't even think, I just thought there's no way, right? There's no way I can pivot from this corporate career, what I've been doing my whole life. And at that point I was 40. And there's just like, no way. And Stephanie said, why not? Right. And then, and then I had the name even then, just like in the back of my head. Right. So yeah, that was a while ago now, but it's been there like percolating as can I?
Yeah.
And I'm still there. Like,
Yeah.
can I?
Yeah.
You went through it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely gone through it, and the career shift for me, late 30s. I was just like, I got a mortgage, I'm married, I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Okay. And for me, my wife is just like fearless. I'll agonize over something for a long time in my brain before I even present something to her.
Yeah.
Because if I say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" She's like, "Today?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not. Nope, not." I'm like getting up to the edge of the high dive here. Like the deepest part of my heart wants to jump, but I need a few deep breaths before I actually jump.
Yeah.
So, like, what was it? So obviously, you guys make this space, but what helped you kind of? How have you ever fully overcome the why nots? Because I think you have to kind of battle those till you see a few. Okay, I can do this, and you see proven success, and that's just there's only one way to find out, and that's just by trying it.
Right.
But what helped you say, okay, I'm going to do this? Like overcome that why not question?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and I think shout out to our partners because my husband was totally supportive, and my dad too, just being like the cheerleader that he is, was like, yeah, right, so great, and then on top of that, it was like, well, there's a lot of things here, but one is it started to feel like I was compelled, like a vocational calling, right? And the root word of vocation is I think it's Latin, but it's like it's voice, right? And so it was almost like I can't not do it. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I did was call my sister because, like I said, she has her degree in interior design. And I said, like, how do I do this? Like, where do I start? What do I have to read? What do I need to do? And so she gave me this checklist. It was basically like, becoming an interior design for dummies. And I spent a lot of time in the library and I just dove in. And then I got bold and I started applying for jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how'd that go?
Great. I had one interview that it was a doozy. It was a couple of construction guys who man, it was super condescending.
Oh.
I know it was sucked actually. I know.
It's probably pretty discouraging. Of like, is this what I'm getting myself into? Like, what was that internal dialogue as you were going in and through and out of that?
Well, I was thinking like, holy cow, it's a boys' club, and it's actually not.
Yeah.
I mean, the construction side definitely is.
Yeah.
And kudos because tradespeople are just super talented. The things that they can do and the skills they have. So no disrespect there, but that particular firm was just not going to be the place for me. As a human, as a feminist, as someone who thinks we should treat others with respect, I was like, I'm going to go.
It's like, okay, I know what I need to know. This isn't for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But there had to be a level of like, okay, I got an interview.
Yeah.
I survived.
Oh.
Let's do it again.
Totally. It was actually really, it built my confidence that I even got an interview.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm super grateful, right? Like they didn't have to, they knew. I mean, I sent my resume that had no design experience outside of my own projects and all the houses I've lived in over the years. But anyway, so I took that and was kind of emboldened. And my dad said, why don't you search for women-owned firms and go that direction instead? Which I was like, duh.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Dad.
That seems aligned. Okay. Yeah.
It seems obvious now. And I did. And I actually found a design firm that was employing a woman that actually designed my closet in one of my homes.
Okay.
I don't have 5 homes. I just mean like in a house that I used to live in. Yeah.
In the sequence
So
of homes
boomery.
you had. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so and so I just called her.
Yeah.
And I said, like, how is it? What's the environment? And she said, I love it. I can't believe I get to do this every day. And so she referred me and they interviewed me. They had me do kind of a mock project. So it was a real house, but they basically said, come in with, all the dimensions, your recommendations for what you would change, all the furnishings and lighting and everything, paint colors, like everything picked out, drapery and rug and accessories and like all the things.
That was your interview.
That was my interview. Yeah. Well, I think I had 3, but that was the
Okay.
last one. It was like the test. And then I had to present it as if they were my client.
Yeah.
And then they hired me and I was like, holy crap.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
How
We're
cool
being
is
paid
that?
to do it.
Yeah. And just to like, I mean, it makes sense looking at the sport you had growing up and all those other things. But when you actually, I think sometimes the process of going out on your own is believing what everybody else sees in you too along the way. There's that process of like your dad probably wasn't surprised at all.
He wasn't. He never is.
Yeah. Now he's like, well, yeah, I've seen this in you since you were a kiddo. And then you're like, we kind of like are becoming what others like, you have this in you. And you're like, oh, I don't know. I've only ever done this X, Y, or Z.
Right. Yeah.
So did you love that preparation for the interview process and the going through and presenting it? Did that connect with the building and the process of Daisy Acres? Like, were you able to like kind of harness that, or how were they different? Or
I mean, I don't think anyone likes interviewing.
No.
But the process was good because I felt, like I said, I felt that vocational calling. And so for me, it was like, just buck up, right? And I did, and I felt super confident sharing about my design experience, my unpaid design experience, right, through my own homes and helping other people just informally. But then I was also confident because my entire career until this point was working with clients and clients at the executive level. So, first it was school principals and their leadership teams and, officials from the State Department of Education and that kind of thing. And then it was executives in the federal government, right? Like the head honcho at the agency where I worked. And then it was, when I moved to Indianapolis, it was the executive team for the hospital downtown Indy. So that was also really easy to kind of sell because that's sort of the continuing line professionally is client service.
Yeah.
And client relationships.
Yeah. And you're working with people who have strong opinions. They know what they like. They expect to be communicated in a certain way.
They do.
And so if you can demonstrate, hey, I have succeeded at the highest level in this area, then it would make sense like, okay, well, we can teach you some of these other things, but if you can deal with people, then we can help you learn these other things.
Yes. People, but specifically clients with big jobs who are making really important decisions and need support and need it to be timely, accurate, thoughtful, informed. And that's really all transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you shift it because now I guess Daisy Acres is dealing with homes, but at that first job, was that dealing with home spaces when you're doing interior design?
Yeah.
And so what were some of those projects that you got to do early on where you got to really find out, oh, I can do this?
Yeah. So one of my favorites that I worked on was a renovation of a 1950s cottage in the Northwoods in Wisconsin. Awesome clients, first of all, and a beautiful place. I don't know if you've been up there, but holy cow. I mean, it's kind of like the
Northern
UP.
Michigan, just the other side of the lake.
Exactly, yeah. It's actually the town is only like 45 minutes south of the border.
Oh, okay.
So stunning, all these things, right? It's just great people, beautiful space. But then to get to work on a cottage on like that with these historic roots and wanting to kind of, completely remake it, but keep some of the original elements. I mean, that was just awesome. Just absolutely awesome.
So talk to me about that process, like what you're looking at, what you're thinking, it was just intuitive, right? And as a part of like the vocational calling you sense, when you get a space, when you get a home, what are the things you're thinking through? Obviously, your client's going to probably have their preferences and requests. Then you're bringing an eye, you're bringing ideas. What's drawing my inspiration? I heard you mention with that home, I'm leaving some of the original here to kind of pay homage of like where we've been, but just walk me through some of the things you think about there.
Sure, yeah. So The color palette on the exterior remains the same. And the general kind of style remains the same, but really, truly everything inside is completely new. Well, I should say new to that space.
Sure.
But I love incorporating antiques and family heirlooms and thrifted things, and just, to make a home, I think it takes all of that. And so a few things were inspiring. I think one, the setting, and two, the way that family lives. And then three, what's important to them. So what do they want in their space to make it feel like a home and not just a house, right? And so all those things play into it. What their hobbies are, what colors they like, things that they will get to enjoy with their grandkids in this space. So we're doing put in one of those like swing couches in the sunroom, right? Because that's so cozy and fun for kids. So just thinking about all those elements, how we can incorporate kind of natural materials, given that it is such a rustic area, and working with a local place to source that wood, things like that.
Yeah, and one thing that came to mind when you were talking about right, this home, this place, it's not just a building in isolation. I think that's what makes a home, right? It's you're thinking of the landscape, and then when you're thinking of the past, present, and future of this family, and there's all these sort of angles and directions coming together that now it'll be a place that even when you shared the introduction, they feel connected to, they feel at home in, they feel like it is an extension of them,
right?
Perhaps.
Yeah, it reflects who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
And even just, I think of, working in like the marketing branding world, like the common like examples that are held up are like a Nike or an Apple or a Patagonia. If they were to design a house, you wouldn't even need to see their logos. You would just sense it. It's their brand.
Yeah, exactly.
You're kind of pulling some of those same pieces out of these families. So it's like, all right, this is the Cooper's home, or this is the Smiths or the Sorensens or whomever. We know when we walk in, not just from the pictures on the wall, but the whole essence is like, oh, this feels like I'm in a part of their family.
Exactly. I think the idea is that I want someone to be able to walk in and know that and get a sense of who these people are, right? With no context other than the space itself. And I think that can be done. I think there is this sort of, and naturally so, I think some people just sort of gravitate toward like, ooh, I love this picture in this catalog, or I love like this image on Pinterest. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's important to kind of then layer that or translate that for yourself in a way that is authentic to you, so that it doesn't feel like you're walking into a showroom or a photograph.
Yeah. How do you make it your own?
Exactly. And that takes more than just, surface level conversations about material selections. That takes like a deeper conversation between myself and a client.
Before you did the interior design and the space making, looking back on your career, what were some of the things that you were learning or doing in your career that have helped you be excellent at what you do now?
Oh, good question. So the first thing that comes to mind, which is true across all consulting engagements, or in all situations with a client, is deep listening. That's probably true for you too. More true for you than maybe the average bear. But it's really being intentional about the questions you ask and drilling in if someone's just kind of giving you this much when you really need a deeper dive, and then truly listening and trying to hear the things that are unsaid, and reading the body language and reading the facial expressions, and taking time to kind of know them as an individual. And that's something that has been a part of my career from the beginning, pre-design too. And so I think that's the top one. I think the second one is building authentic relationships. So I've got a few clients from, over the last, 17 years who are still friends.
Yeah.
And that's because you spend a lot of time together. There's a lot of vulnerability. But also, I believe deeply in having a good time at work. Like, if you're not having a good time at work at least 80% of the time,
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, we can do better.
Yeah. You spend so much time there, right?
So much time with the people. And I just think, I think it's important to connect on a deeper level when you feel sort of that inclination toward another person. That's really valuable to me personally, but also professionally, even now as a designer.
Well, yeah, if you're going to make a physical space that feels and smells and looks like a person in some ways, then it would take all those things make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about your hopes for Daisy Acres design and like what you hope for that to be in a moment. But we talked about some of your journey and, prepping for this. You mentioned the Federal Bureau of Printing, and I'm not sure I've been trying to figure out like how to make sure I get that in there. So I'm just going to ask straight up.
Sure.
You mentioned it was something that you could talk endlessly about. So one, what is it?
Yeah.
And what is your fascination with it?
Sure. I'm about to blow your mind, unless you Googled it.
I Googled it because I was like, what? And I was like, I just want to hear Lindsey share. So I didn't do a lot of research, which is hard for me because that's my inclination is to just spend hours researching. So I want to hear it from you.
Okay. I'm so excited. Okay. So the Bureau of Engraving and Printing is the federal agency under Treasury that prints our paper currency. So it is the Mint's big sister.
Okay.
I want you to hear me out. Everyone thinks the Mint prints money. It does not. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing does that.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember when like quarter collecting was a big deal. If you got like the D or the P. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. Well, the Mint does make coins.
Okay. But not the bills.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. The Bureau prints the bills.
Okay.
And that was that's the agency where I worked when I lived in DC. Okay. So I was a consultant for them. And it is the freaking coolest place.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
It's so cool.
The floor is yours.
I know. And I have to be careful because when people find out that you worked in the building where they make money, they get ideas. But like, I think, so when I was there, I was leading a team rather that was working on workforce plans.
Okay.
So it was workforce planning is figuring out what people you need in what roles for the future of the organization in kind of layman's terms. But what that means in practice is that myself and our team, we got to meet with every single office in the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So everything. So for instance, we met the people, the artists who design the images that go on our bills.
Okay. That's awesome.
Freaking cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess that's one of those things I wouldn't think.
Right. They employ artists.
Yeah, that's somewhat because the money's always kind of changing with colors and whatnot. Okay, so you get to meet the artists.
Right. Like the person who designed Harriet Tubman's image.
Yeah.
I mean, which we haven't used yet, but hopefully one day we will.
So there's concepts too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
For other like future bills and
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but then, the people who do the engraving on the metal plates that then get stamped. Yeah. And then the people who make the actual plates that are used to print huge sheets of currency.
Okay. So this is all happening in-house.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In two places. There's one in DC and there's one in Texas.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay.
It's just these two places that do it. It's both a bureau, just two locations.
Yep.
And so, but the engineers, the chemical scientists, or I guess those are called chemists. The people there's a division that handles mutilated currency. So if someone finds, like, let's say your crazy great uncle Robert hid like a box of money in the floorboards, or your grandma buried it in the yard, or like whatever people do with money, right? If you find that and it is destroyed, but you could still see that it's currency, you can bring it to the Bureau or send it to them. And there is a team of people dedicated to authenticating that and figuring out what the value is, and then you get a check. I know, it's so cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and all they do all day is handle the mutilated currency. It's incredible.
Yeah. So do they do like restoration, or is it just
No.
it's just like investigative work?
Exactly. It's just investigative work.
That is really neat.
Yeah, and they need to find enough of each bill to, authenticate it, make sure it's not been one bill split into 50 pieces or whatever it is.
Yeah, you can't just have someone chopped up with money, which that's a federal offense, right? To like destroy currency. Can you speak to that? I don't know. I feel like I've always heard that. Like you see a magician like rip up and you hear someone else, you're like, that's a crime. But I have no idea if that's
that sounds familiar,
Yeah.
but I didn't ask that question
Yeah.
in the years I worked there.
Yeah.
But I do know they had one case where a gentleman with dementia shredded multiple $1,000s in a home shredder, and they figured it out. They took that bag of shredded currency.
Goodness. So these are the people that you would want in like an escape room, because they just love puzzles and putting stuff together.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating.
I know. But then the facilities team and like the union leader for some of the different groups involved. I mean, it was just an incredible place to be. The security.
How long were you there?
Oh gosh, I think I was there for, I want to say like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It was awesome.
That's amazing. Like what did that, I don't even know. I have so many questions. Like what did that, like if you could describe what you loved about it, because there's so many different pieces of how it all mixed together. Like, is that it? Just like because you got to see how everything works together?
Yes. The entire process, the entire operation of handling that. And just the people who, career civil servants who have spent their entire working lives like chroming plates.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. First of all, chrome is a very dangerous substance to be around. And guys and women, people in general, just people who have been there for decades, right? And no one knows. Like, no one knows. Like, does anybody even think about where that comes from?
Yeah.
And so to meet the people who do the work, I mean, it's the same thing in design. Like when you can meet the team that mills the lumber for the floors.
Yeah.
Or I love sourcing original art for clients, right? So when you can meet the artists and you meet the people behind the trade or behind the craft, I think that's really special. And the Bureau was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, it's like, I'm geeked about this because someone asked me the other day, like, what would be like your dream scenario? I was like, you remember what Mike Rowe used to do with Dirty Jobs? Like that.
Oh, yeah.
I love story. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited about this because I haven't thought about where my money comes from. But sometimes I'll be talking with my wife or with friends to be like, hey, what's crazy is some kids are going to college because someone designed that hinge in that thing over there. Right? Like there's just because someone thought of it, made it, and it's a solution that you just don't think about. But here with money, something we use, I guess less and less with how digital things are, but there's still plenty of money, like physical money out there to like have gotten to see that whole process. And I imagine the people who've been there for years probably take such great pride in their work too, and have amazing stories of how things have changed or when they're minting something new, or like, can you share any of like favorite stories that you encountered while you were there? I don't know level of like clearance or.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I do have to be careful about that because it's like a need to know environment when you're working with a government agency of any kind. But gosh, well, it's just a person that I encountered there.
Great.
And I just really liked him.
Yeah.
And he was just a funny guy, and he'd been there for a long time. He had a really dry, like sharp sense of humor. And I don't remember I just don't retain a ton in general. I have a bad memory compared to my sister, but I do remember that he had this cartoon on his door and it said something like, I don't know what the point of life is, but I'm quite sure it's not to enjoy oneself. And like, I don't know why that sticks out to me. It has nothing to do with the work, but it had entirely everything to do with like the kind of person he was. I just got a kick out of him. And he was so smart and so intense. I ended up going to like a Django jazz performance at his house. Like he was just cool, you know? And he had an interesting backstory too. Most of his family was killed in the Holocaust, so he has like next to no relatives. And so it's those things where like that has nothing to do with workforce planning, but just like I said, getting to know a stakeholder or a client on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it gets me thinking, right? It doesn't surprise me that that's what stands out to you, because even in the work you're doing, you're actually interested in the people.
Yeah.
The space is the expression of it.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And so it makes sense. You're like, even before you were thinking of the creative endeavors you have now, you're noticing, oh, he's got a dry sense of humor here. Okay, he likes jazz. Oh, this is his family history, which shapes who he is. And so that makes sense. And then it clicked for me a little bit when you said the process from like start to finish. You got to see it all. And go back to when you did your house, start to finish.
Start to finish, you're absolutely
in that process, like, did you get a kick out of getting to know the contractors and everyone who's doing the work too? Like, did you get to spend much time with them as they did the work at Daisy Acres, or was there any connection or equation there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Not as much, because when Daisy Acres was being built, we were in Indianapolis. So I did get up somewhat because my family's here in West Michigan. And so, we did visit quite a bit, but it wasn't like, oh, I get to come in every day this week, right? Because I had a job back home. So not as much. But with my client projects, definitely, there's different contractors or, vendors that you kind of gravitate toward, I think, naturally. I actually had one. I don't know. I just like people, and I like quirky people. I like people who have like, I don't know, are just willing to like fly their freak flag a little bit. I like that. But anyway, there was one sales rep that I'm thinking of. He works for Hooker Furniture, and we were at market, which it happens twice a year if you're not in the industry. It's like furniture market. And so in the spring it's in High Point, North Carolina, because they make a ton of furniture down there. And then the other one's in Vegas in the fall. But this was at High Point, and it was early in the morning, and I was headed to a showroom with my colleagues, and I tripped and fell on the curb and like absolutely landed on my face. Like I landed on my head right here by my eye, and luckily I had my sunglasses on, so they kind of protected. But anyway, long story. I went to I actually got a lift from a firefighter who just happened to see me like absolutely bite it. And he picked me up and he took me to the sort of like mobile medical unit that they have there at High Point. And it was closed because it was so early in the morning, and they're thinking, who gets injured? Right, sure, yeah. But right next to it was the building that houses Hooker Furniture. And so the first person I thought of was David Taylor, our rep. And so I went up there, and they weren't even open, but he immediately found me a first aid kit. He found me a latte. I mean, shut up. This man was so sweet. I was like shook, right? So
Just went to like serve mode and care mode.
An absolute gentleman. And then like just sat with me until I sort of regained composure.
Wow.
I don't even know what we were talking about, but I just love David Taylor, so you had to throw that in there.
Great. Hey, thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, yeah. You were talking about you love people, right? Just the process of like getting to know people while you're doing, and that's what sticks out, right? It wasn't what you were doing. It was like, okay, the people that impacted you, the connection that you have there. So it's clear you love deep meaning, right? And you like connecting people to things that matter. In Daisy Acres, do you have any particular pieces that you've sourced for yourselves there that you just really, really love that have special meaning? Could you share about one or two of those?
Sure. I have an old sign that's hanging above the fireplace. It's a wooden sign, so it's like a 3-dimensional. It has a carved milkmaid on it.
Okay.
And there's a piece of rope kind of strung through, and she's holding to like a stick that has like buckets on it, like old school.
Yeah.
And it says something like caters to cyclists and I don't know, vagabonds or something like that. and it's like cheese and milk and whatever. And at the top it says Daisy Farm.
Okay.
And I got that from my best friend Bill, who lives on Cape Cod. It was in he has like a space in an antique shop out on the Cape, and it was in his shop, and I saw it and fell in love with it, and he shipped it to me.
Wow.
I know. So
Did
I
you
love
know
that
it was
piece.
coming, or did he surprise you with it?
I knew it was coming.
Okay. Either way, like that's super awesome.
Yeah, I love that piece.
So not only does it have the daisy in there, then it's like deep connection with great friend.
Exactly. Yeah. So every time I see it, I think of him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's super special.
Yeah, that's great. So one of the things you mentioned early on is making interiors. I believe the phrase you used was like bringing accessibility to it. Could you tell me what you mean by that?
Yeah.
Because that word can have a lot of different connotations, but just tell me from your perspective, what do you mean by that, and what would your desire be for the work that you do in regards to that area?
Sure. So, as I've kind of designed my own spaces, and gone furniture shopping or whatever outside of thrifting and antiquing, because I find those folks to be super friendly. But I think the process of looking for window treatments or furniture, sometimes it can feel a little intimidating. And there's actually I'm not going to name names, but there's a certain place in the Indianapolis area. And I remember walking in there to look at kind of lighting and some other things and just feeling unwelcomed. Kind of like Pretty Woman, I'm going to say.
Sure,
like
yeah.
a Pretty Woman moment where Julia Roberts walks into the boutique and kind of gets like snubbed a little bit.
Yep.
Based on appearances and assumptions that people make. And Daisy Acres is not that.
Yeah.
I want it to feel accessible. I want it to feel comfortable, approachable. It's a place where I just want people to come as they are and not think that I'm going to look down or make judgment. I mean, everyone apologizes when they come to their house for the state of the house. I don't want you to make an apology to me for your home. I am not coming in to judge the way that you live. I'm coming in to help you realize a vision for what it could be. And that's what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that a lot. Because the reality is you're trying to just enter into their normal life. And if that level of those barriers are down, it'll actually help you serve them better too.
Exactly.
Because you'll be able to say like, you just be able to see like, listen, houses actually get messy most of the time.
Exactly.
They're not perfectly in order.
No.
So how do you, it's my wife and I joke, we try, we got 3 kids, but it's crazy. It's like, it's sign of life well lived. Like that's what we talk about. It's like, okay, there's going to be a day. I remember when my son was born, the nurse, and I couldn't guess how old she was, but it seemed like she just shared from an abundance of wisdom. She said, listen, you will always have dishes in your sink. You will not always have your kids in your house. And I've held on to that. Like even the days where I'm like, wow, how did we just clean these up an hour ago when they're all back out here?
Yeah.
And so I love that's your approach. Like, listen, like just be human, be who you are.
Yes.
Like it's a normal part of life. It's okay. We're not here to make any judgments or anything like that. So how do you try to help with that? How do you try to help like from past experience, like to just like just take the pressure off?
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you think through that?
So I think one is, just showing up as myself so that clients can feel like they can do the same.
Yeah.
Right? Like I am not going to pretend like my car is clean. It's not. I have an ancient typewriter in there. I've got a bunch of unorganized bubble wrap. I've got the entire collection of Benjamin Moore paint samples. I've got accessories that I picked up. Like it's real life.
Mm-hmm.
And my car's probably not going to be clean on the outside either. Like this is life. I don't want to show up as like someone I'm not.
Yeah.
And I think beyond that, just just relating with people. I mean, I think everybody could probably do a better job of that, myself included, but I really try to put people at ease by relating to whatever they're going through. Like, I put this paint color on the wall and now I just don't know. I've been there.
Yeah, just being
More
honest
times
about
than
it.
I can
Being
count.
honest about like this is the wrong color.
Yeah. It's not personal.
Yeah.
And my house doesn't look like a catalog, right? But it's my home and I love it and it looks like what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
What do you find? I imagine that could be tough for people to believe that's actually okay to have preferences and likes, because there's so many images or social media things or catalogs or whatever. It's like we have this idea of like, this is what the house looks like when you're in your 30s to 50s, and it's like ideal. So how do you help people say it's actually okay if you don't like that? Let's go a different direction.
I love that question, and it's really deeply tied to the way I approach design. I don't design for a trend. I don't design for what I think is going to impress your neighbor. I design for the client. And so the client that I tend to attract is that person who wants it to look like their own space, not like some interior store at the mall. And there's nothing wrong with the interior store at the mall. I've got some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
But incorporating that into more of a unique story-filled space, right? I don't know that there's really like a talking someone into it so much as it is like attracting and seeking clients who are kind of like prone to that way of thinking to begin with. I'm not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, any given interior design is not going to be for everybody. Or shop rather.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. Yeah. You're just like, listen, this is how I'm going to go about it. And if you want to more fully express yourself in the way your house and home looks, then let's do it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's the best client, somebody who's like ready to roll, and they don't necessarily know what they want and they don't know exactly how to pull it together, but they know it's going to happen. It's out there and I'm ready to do it. Like that's a great client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any wins or stories of kind of what you just talked about, where someone's like, I don't really know what this looks like, but Lindsey, I trust you and I'm along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like, help me. Like, anything that come to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a client who lives on a small lake in Indianapolis, and she has just a fantastic historic home built in the late 60s. And it's just gorgeous. It's got these mid-century details that just like blow my mind. And it's not a huge house. It's a ranch. But it is just a masterpiece. You walk in the front door and there's just this great stone fireplace, two-sided fireplace. I mean, it's just beautiful. Some slate when you walk in on the floor. I mean, I just love this house. And so I came over to this client's house and she wanted help renovating one of her bathrooms, but she didn't know kind of where to take it. Well, in that case, this house and what she has done with it and what she chooses to fill it with gave me that direction, right? I met with her. I saw her artwork. I saw her art fair earrings, right? I read her. I listened to her, and I listened to the house. Like sometimes people have houses that will kind of tell you where to go as a base. So like So for example, if in this house, which is very like mid-century coded, both in its architectural style, design style, and in the decisions she has made in the interior, the furnishings and whatnot, that's the vein we're going in, right? We want that continuity when we look at rehabbing just one space.
Yeah.
So, and even I had a house, my husband and I, our first home together in Indianapolis was a 2-story brick Tudor in Meridian Kessler, which is a historic neighborhood. So our house was built in the early 30s. And that house too, I mean, it had a piece of stained glass in the front door. This is a beautiful arched front door. And that stained glass, that was my starting point when I redid that house, redecorated. Those colors and the other elements in the home that were original from the early 30s. That house told me this is the direction to take it. Here's your color palette, right? And then we found, it was so funny because we did all this work, and we did painting, we put wallpaper up, and we installed a banquette, and we did all these things. And then my husband was fixing something near a vent on the wall, and he found a piece of the original wallpaper in the kitchen, and it was the exact color palette that we had used.
Oh, wow.
So the house kind of tells you if it's a historic home.
Yeah.
And then you make that yours, right? It doesn't mean like, oh, you have to do only accessories or antiques from the 1930s. No, it just means like nod to that era, nod to what the house was.
Yeah. Like the context it was built in.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So we're in the age of like the DIY.
Yeah.
How do you come alongside or complement that? Sub question: when's the point that you would say, okay, maybe reach out to me?
Sure. So fully support DIY projects. I think that's a great path to take, especially if you enjoy doing it. I mean, that just seems like a hobby and a beautification at the same time. I think when you would reach out to me would be when a client feels like they're stuck and they have a problem and they don't know how to solve it, right? Sorry, like Vanilla Ice just went like, if you got a problem, I don't know.
Yeah.
And
stop, collaborate.
I know.
And listen.
Yeah.
That's your process, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. I'm an 80s baby.
That's great.
But that's really when it hits, is like, oh man, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to solve this problem, or like I'm having a hard time envisioning what the space could be, or how to kind of alter the interior to make it more livable for my family, right? And I'm not an architect.
Yeah.
Certainly, you got to worry about the structural pieces and all of that, but the conceptual design is something that I can help with. But that's just if it's a, potential remodel. It could just be that you want to kind of freshen up a space, right? But you're not sure how to really achieve what you're after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what would be, I guess, the degrees of involvement that your services would be available to someone? Because I heard like, hey, kind of a sounding board, like an ideation partner that I hear sounds like you're willing to kind of do the full design plan as well. Like, I'll let you explain though. What is the like degree at which you can come alongside your clients and serve them in their processes?
So my preference for the most kind of cohesive space would be for clients to approach, to assist with the entire design.
Okay.
But not necessarily the entire design for a house, but I mean, before you start renovating your kitchen, before you order cabinets, before you pick a paint color, before you've decided on tile, before you've got contractors already in, that's where I would prefer to come in. Because, so for instance, there's a client I'm thinking of where they brought me in to kind of just help with accessorizing and maybe a little bit of layout and, selection of some artwork and things like that, which by the way is super personal. So I would really encourage people to not just hand over the art selection to the designer. That should be super collaborative. But anyway, that's a side note. So this couple had me over to just sort of like finalize. And that's not as helpful because they'd already renovated the whole space and redone the kitchen. And then what the direction they told me they wanted to go was not really in alignment with the selections they'd made already. Yeah. Right. And so there was kind of there's a blending of design styles, which I fully support, but there was kind of a lack of cohesion. And some people don't, I mean, if that's not a big deal to you, like live your life.
Yeah.
Right. But if what you're seeking is a home that feels really cohesive and has like sort of its own identity that reflects you, that's important to bring me in like really, really early at the conceptual phase.
Yeah, because then you
Yeah.
can walk through and talk through, okay, here's how we could get there, and here's you can complement this. But when you're kind of coming in like, this is probably not the best analogy, but I was imagining, hey, we already made the cake. Can you just put the cake topper on?
Exactly.
And you're like, well, what's the theme? Like, we're having a birthday party, but so it's just like you're wondering, maybe it doesn't all make sense together how you would
Right.
normally do it.
And I can work around it.
Yep.
Right. Like if the commitment is there, if the resources are there, we will figure it
You
out.
make it work.
Yeah. But it's always best to bring a designer in very early.
Yeah.
Another example, I have a client who was working with another firm locally in Indianapolis, and she had picked out her countertops for her kitchen, and she was going to bring that material up as a backsplash too. And so I got there and we were talking, and she said, okay, so this is my quartz and I'm going to run it up as the backsplash too instead of doing tile. And I said, okay, what kind of range do you have? Is it, induction, or what are you doing here? And she said, it's gas. Well, you can't put quartz behind a gas range. It discolors.
Okay.
So you can put granite back there. You can put quartzite back there, both natural materials, but you can't put quartz back there. But at that point, she's still far along in the design process with this other firm that didn't tell her that. And so things like that too, you can avoid costly mistakes by bringing someone in who kind of has that background knowledge.
Well, and that's not even, right, that's not even just the aesthetics.
No,
right?
no.
It's here's how all the different elements and life being lived affects these things.
Correct.
Right? It's like, okay, do you want to go flooring or carpet? Well, what's your lifestyle like? Right? Like the wear and tear. And so that's something I wouldn't even have thought about of, don't put gas in front or quartz behind a gas stove because it's going to discolor. That's wild. Yeah.
And I think there's a misconception that designers are just concerned about sort of this like second layer, the furnishings, and we pick out lamps or whatever. And that's true. We do that, and I really enjoy that. I could look at wallpaper all day, but it's also about what's livable, what's feasible. Do you want to have marble because you're going to have to seal it regularly, or do you want to go with a ceramic or a porcelain tile? So, things like those, considerations like those are a part of the job too.
Yeah, asking those questions of how are you going to use this? How involved you want to be with upkeep and maintenance?
Exactly.
And I would imagine that there's some fluidity to design too, right? As life gets lived, there's a piece of, okay, how easy is this to change in the future, or adapt around, or complement, or shift? Are those also considerations that you're having too, or?
Yes, and I really think that that people should just sort of embrace this time in their life. So when Michael and I were building the cottage, I think his tendency is to think like, well, but when we retire up here, we're going to want X, Y, and Z. Well, that's X years away. I want to design for right now.
Yep.
And if we need to alter something later, we will do that. But let's do now. Let's live now.
That's good.
Yeah. But for some people, that's not practical, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing a kid's bedroom and they're 6, you got to think about what's going to look good when they're 10 and 16 and what they're going to want to live in at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I need to hear that, because I'm very much, okay, but what's the work that's going to change? And the area I've grown is, let's do it for now. And with just like, okay, how, and that's actually helped me a ton. I think some of the furniture and the art and the way some of our house is laid out, just the little ways we've been able to do that are just, we like this now.
Yeah.
It feels like a home. It feels like us. It feels cozy, and we just enjoy it a ton. And we're not worried about if we change our mind down the road, because, or I think, I'm sure you've heard about millennial gray. People are like afraid to paint their houses because they might sell it one day. And it's like,
no.
And thankfully, coats of paints don't scare my wife and I. We're just like, well, you can paint, and you can paint over paint. Like that's like kind of the whole. That's like its whole thing. So that's a helpful perspective. Just like, okay, what do you want now? And that's good. That's
been informed for me. That's an informed viewpoint. And that's not going to work for everyone.
Right,
that's my philosophy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that's right for a given, client. I've got actually the client who has the mid-century modern ranch on the lake, she's 70. So she is thinking about resale
Yep.
in the not too distant future. And so for her, that was a part of the design plan. Still doing what she really likes, but being mindful about not wanting to do it again when she sells her house in a few years, right? And then there's things like with the cottage, with Daisy Acres, we're not there full time. We're only there, just on occasion, but eventually we will be. And so when we were working on the electrical plan with the builders, with Tim, I said, I would like to have the electricity set up so that when it's time for us to add a generator, we can. We don't need one right now. We're not going to buy one right now. That doesn't make sense for us, but it is ready to go when we do.
Yeah.
Or for instance, if you're taking out a tub in a bathroom, I would keep that plumbing behind that wall so that when you go to sell, you can say, hey, you could easily put a tub back in here if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So there
are some considerations.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not totally like now or never.
Yeah. There's some wisdom to like having versatility also built in.
Exactly.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Then it seems like a silly question because I feel like from our conversations I've gathered, you kind of gain inspiration from everywhere. I was going to ask like what inspires you, but I'm curious if there's maybe not even from the design space, but like what is one of your primary like streams of inspiration that just like helps you do what you do well?
That's a really good question. I think I absolutely love treasure hunting. So antiquing, thrifting, Goodwill. I mean, I just love finding kind of like really unique, special things. And so for me, that could be, but that also translates to like walking through a tile store. I mean, that's like a candy store for a designer, right? And so it really can come from anywhere. But it could also come from like a feeling. And so like, how do you want to feel in a certain space?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of hard to like
Yeah.
say one thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I get. I was like, it seems like you can just be walking along and like suddenly inspiration from here, inspiration from here. But on the treasure hunt, this is I guess a sub point of that. Do you have something already in mind you're looking for? Or are you just kind of walking along? So in my mind, there's two types of treasure hunt. I'm sure there's more, but this is how my mind's breaking it down. There's like, I have a map with an X and I'm following it, right? Kind of the classic like pirate story or whatever. Then there's also like, I'm on the beach with a metal detector and I'm just kind of waiting for something to jump out at me. Like which of the, like, how would you describe what you mean by the treasure hunting?
Yeah, well, the latter example is much more fun, sort of that serendipitous experience. However, an X can also be fun. So I remember I worked on a second home for a couple, and I found this painting of a woman in the rain painting a boat. And it was for like a little lake getaway that they bought. And it was just perfect. It was the colors, it was the mood, it was the subject matter, it was the age of the painting itself. And I had been looking for art for them. And so like when I found that, it was like and it was the perfect size for the wall. I mean, it was just everything. Right?
He's probably giddy.
Oh, I was.
Couldn't wait to show him. You're so excited for your own win.
Yes, but also kind of wanted to keep it.
That's the hard part about finding something that like is the right thing. Of like, this is for somebody else, but I really think this is cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. Oh yeah, I just think about my own things where it's been similar to that.
Yeah.
All right, so Lindsey, you're based in Indianapolis, but you've got your place up here in Allegan. Like, who or where are you serving, and what's your scope of geography that you're willing to work with people?
Yes, thank you for asking that. So yeah, Indianapolis is home base for me, and that's where my business is technically located. But I am in Michigan often at the cottage or seeing family or both, and so I really love working in my home state, specifically Southwest Michigan. It's home. and I feel sort of a kinship with what's happening here in the community. And so yeah, that's the second one. But then I would say, I had that at cottage in Wisconsin too, and I'm happy to travel. It's one of my loves of life. So let me know. I think, depending on the state, there's some restrictions around kind of who can operate and that kind of thing, but I am happy to entertain clients really anywhere.
Great. At Design Travels, right?
Heck yeah.
Design Travels.
Yep. I love a road trip.
If someone wanted to begin to make their place more home for themselves, but maybe they're not ready for whatever reason to go with you or another designer, what are just some things you would recommend to help them begin that journey for themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would look at websites for different design firms, and do some research on what resonates with you. So, what kinds of projects have they worked on? Where have they worked? What does their website tell you about kind of who they are and how they like to operate and what's most important to them? And then ask around too. I think, your friends and colleagues and family members can be a good resource of recommendations as well.
As you make homes for people, places where they feel more themselves, like, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you to make a place where someone could be more themselves and express themselves and invite people into that space?
Yeah, I like that question. And sometimes it can feel, sort of like a superficial industry, right? Like it's a lot of consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of why I really like thrifting and kind of recycling and that kind of thing. But I think uh the deeper thing for me is that it is hard. The world is just hard and it feels harder all the time. Um it's part of why I left corporate. I felt too soft for so much hardness, and um, I think people are seeking refuge from that. And I think my hope, and I know this is not true for everyone, but my hope is like that's home. That's home for you.
Mm-hmm.
That at the end of the day, whatever it is that's going on in your personal life, in your professional life, in the world at large, you can sort of just like tuck into your nest and feel warm and safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like your story matters and that you have some semblance of control in your personal environment. I think that's sort of the deeper why for me.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for that. And just from our conversation here, I can tell that overflows from you, from the way that you seek to care for people and actually know them and you remember them and the little details stand out, that's part of just acknowledging someone's humanness and their dignity. And that when I work with my clients, I like to remind them your story matters because you matter.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. I see and I'm just grateful to have gotten to like get a little glimpse of that through just talking with you about the work you're doing. And just super grateful for you sharing just everything from the Federal Bureau of Engraving and Printing and just the people there to your hopes and dreams for Daisy Acres. So thanks so much for sharing. And I guess before we officially signed off, if someone wants to begin the process of making their home or their space, whatever that might be, a little bit more of themselves, how would they reach out to you?
Oh, how would they reach out to me? Just more directly.
Yeah, more directly.
Sure. So I have a website.
Yep.
I'm also on Instagram at Lindsey Sorensen Design. It's not Daisy Acres. It's actually my name on there. And you could see my work, but you can also reach out to me that way or contact information on the web too.
Okay, great. And thank you so much for coming on this, and just excited to just see where Daisy Acres goes in the future.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
We are all on our own journey, and our stories help us understand where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. Your story is uniquely valuable because there is no one else like you. And by sharing it, you can help others connect to their own journeys. So wherever you're going, go as only you can go. Lead with story. The music for Lead with Story was created and provided by Joshua Dregge. Lead with Story is a production of Forerunner Story Company. Forerunner Story Company serves individuals, teams, businesses, and brands in helping them discover, craft, and share their story in a meaningful way. For more information, you can visit forerunnerstoryco.com.